Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming to the very first On the Engine Deck, a World of Tanks news show where we go ahead and compress a week's worth of news into a single sitting so that you don't have to do any digging and you can just sit back and relax. Today I'm joined by my co-guest, or my co-star, technically, Radley. Go ahead and say hello, Radley.
Hello.
What's up? How you been this week?
Well, I'm alive and kicking, so every day
Alright.
above ground.
Nice. So the first thing we do have for news this week is the World of Tanks General Closed Beta Test has gone ahead and launched earlier this week on March 2nd. It's a card-based World of Tanks. Have you even looked at this yet?
I'm trying to find it here. It's confusing to say the least.
I've played a few games of it, and I don't know if I'm under an NDA. I will say it's very similar to the real-life card game that they have under the World of Tanks General name. It's a bit confusing to start, and it's also a bit sluggish, but again, I have to see if I'm under an NDA for that. It's interesting, to say the
It might
least.
warm up to you, right?
It might, if it's not on an NDA, I'll go ahead and put a video out later, kind of highlighting it, but if it seems like that's something you want to do, go ahead and shoot them a application. Looks like they're still accepting applications for it. Uh, Next thing we have is what was just announced today, our daily login bonus missions. It looks like it's a 60-day window with starting on March 8th, Sunday, ending Friday, May 8th. And it's every single day you log in, you get 50,000 credits. And for every 5 days you log in, you get another cool item with 30 days and 60 days giving you tanks. Ooh, the
This
S100Y. Don't
this
you have the
thing's really
S100Y?
consistent. Yeah, it's a fantastic tank.
Oh, looks like you'll be getting gold then if you log on 60 days consistently. You lucky bastard.
I'm not going to complain about that.
It's nice to see Wargaming doing things like this, unlike the 30 days where you have to log in 28 of them and do 15 kills or 15,000 experience earned. Because some days you just can't really dedicate a long period of time to the game. So this is a nice change.
And it seems like they're actually giving it some pretty substantial gifts with these too. Binoculars, coated optics.
Yeah, definitely some pricey ones. And I think I did the math earlier. It's about 3 million credits just for the daily reward of 50,000 credits per day.
So even if you're not going to play much, you should definitely be logging on.
Another thing here, it looks like they have the new HD models for 9.7 released. Looks like a few of them are the E100, the ELC, the IS4, plus the Jagdpanther E100 and the Panzer 4 H. The E100
Gotta
was,
love that rust look to these, eh?
yeah, I know,
Brand new
right?
rust.
I just don't like how, in some cases, they're changing the armor profile of the tank when they go to HD. So it's not just a cosmetic look, it's often balance changes.
Yeah, and it always seems to be a little under the table. They don't really say much about it, but they might make a cupola a little bigger or a little flatter.
I do know they had to push back the E100 because it was actually supposed to already be released in 9.6, but unfortunately, because of how they did the sensor bar on top, which is a weak point, the gun mantlet, I believe, and the upper plate of the hull armor, they had to push it back because they really messed it up. So, I mean, I just don't like it. I'm kind of iffy on them, especially I know the Jumbo, like you see with the Fury, it lost that armor behind the mantlet, so I don't know there. I still haven't looked at the IS4 to see if there's any actual changes in the armor, because I do have the IS4. It does look a little bit prettier, but like you said, it's mostly just rust.
Yeah, it just seems a little bit more finer detail with the rust, and that's about it. Nothing too game changing other than, like I said, I gotta be wary. I'm a little worried when they make any kind of model changes to change any kind of hit points or anything that they don't usually tell you in front of it.
Yep. Let's see here. Also, the special public test for physics. This is the second round. In the first round, I don't think you were able to go ahead and get on it. I did for a very limited time. I didn't like it. I tried playing the T62A, the 5100, the T54, some really good tanks that I do personally own to see what the changes would be there, and they felt really sluggish compared to the old ones. And the handbraking just felt like a novelty. It felt like something you had to do, and had to do well to get your old performance back. And it looks like in this one, they buffed and fixed those four tanks, or those three tanks plus the T1 Cunningham and the 1390, to try to get them back to what they were on the original server or the regular server, and having the handbrake as extras. So it looks like a good tweak, but I personally haven't re-downloaded the client to try it out. What is your take on that handbrake situation?
I actually think it's going to make a new learning curve to the game that I think is going to be really interesting. But for the first few weeks, it's going to be really frustrating. Especially when you get to see people whip around corners and just slide down hills.
Definitely. And another thing that you're just reminded me of is when I was playing on the test server, something that I did really get to grips with quickly is when I would stop to try to get a shot down, like from a ledge, I would think I'd have the shot, because with the way the tanks work now is when you brake, you get an extra like degree of gun depression because your tank's going forward on the suspension.
Yeah, and it pushes it forward, yeah.
And then it would whip back up, and a lot of the times that would make me miss a shot, because this is something I wasn't used to. So it's definitely going to be a lot of learning curve. But I saw some tanks doing and going some really extreme places, so we'll have to see. I think the new iteration of the test lasts till... Let's see if it says here. March 8th, which is tomorrow. So we'll see if they get to do another one after that. Definitely like to see a lot more tanks included in the test than just 5 like right now. Another thing going on is Wargaming is at PAX East this weekend. They are doing some live streaming. It did start on the 6th, that was yesterday. A lot of interesting things going on. They are doing some prize giveaways in their Twitch channel if you want to go ahead and check them out. Personally, I don't really like their Twitch channel. It seems like a lot of spamming, and it seems like they don't regulate that spam, and a lot of the spammers do get the prizes because it's based off of a random generator that does just pull who talked, not what they said. But if you're interested, go ahead and check them out. I know PAX East is usually always booked out, very hard to go, so it is something great to go to. If you can ever get to a Wargaming event, I do recommend it. They are extremely fun. I did go to their launch for their World of Tanks Blitz, and it was amazing. Sadly, Radley's in Canada, and it's not many... They don't give Canada any love.
A bit of a journey.
I do know they're having one in Portland, Oregon, I think next week. I have the article right here. Sunday, March 15th. It's a bit out of the way for me. I'm from California. I think, Radley, you're on the East Coast?
West, but it's still a bit of a journey.
Yeah, I think it's about as far away from you as it is me, so... It's for the WNA watch party, so it's actually for the big tournaments, people who, the professional players.
Well, if you want to go, I'll meet up for a beer with you.
Oh, I wish I could. My car. I need to get those tires replaced first. But that would be epic. Another thing going on this weekend is the PAX Party Choose Your Own Reward. Have you looked through this? Because I'm still a little bit fuzzy on, do you get to choose 2 out of the 5 or only 1?
I was under the impression it was 1, because it even says reward 1, but I don't know.
Okay, so it looks like
Yeah,
maybe
it
it
does
is
seem like
1
you get
because
2.
you do the 1,000 or 125,000 experience. Then you have to do choose your own reward, which is win a battle.
And then you get to pick one of the 5 tanks.
So you have to win. So after you complete the 125,000 experience, you have to win 2 battles to eventually get the correct tank you want.
Yes.
That seems a bit excessive, but I guess choice always works out for people. Um, Consumables are 50% off. We have a times 3 weekend, and the tier 8 regular vehicles are 15% off. It just seems a little too complicated and a little too excessive. I mean, if they would have just given one of these tanks with a little bit easier winning requirements, I think I would have personally liked it more.
Yeah, I think this is really just coming down to the discounts on the premium vehicles.
Another sad thing that did happen this weekend was For the Record did close. So, unfortunately, he has stopped. He did get a job at Obsidian Entertainment. So, and he'd been quite worn out by this. I think his original goal for the blog was to get a Czech tank branch, which he said Wargaming's agreed to. So,
Well, hopefully he does well for himself.
yeah,
I'm upset,
definitely.
but
And then he did give RitaGamer, it looks like, his, I guess it would be contacts to go ahead and try to continue on his legacy. So we'll see what time does and see if she's able to go ahead and do it in the same way he was doing or even better. Um, don't really know yet. And a few leaks that did go ahead and come out over the weekend was changes to Swamp. Going
which I
ahead
think
and
is going to be a nice rebalancing, actually.
yeah, I'm looking at it now and trying to switch between the two, and it does look that way. I mean, the north city looks a little bit smaller, and there's a lot less buildings in the north and south. So I can't tell if that's just an illusion on the pictures I have, or if that's what's really going on. Because I do see a lot more buildings in the south cap, which I would
I
have
think it
liked to
has a
see
lot
more
to
of a
do with
buff in the north.
well, it does seem like that the north has actually been more on an angle, so you got to go around a bend, which I think is going to open it up a little bit.
Yeah, it also does look like they lessened a lot of the water. So it looks like it might be a little bit easier to get around, a little bit quicker to out position your
We'll
opponents.
see what the resistance is like, though.
Because the south looks like there's a little bit more sandy breaches, so you can go a little bit the long way around instead of having to go over the bridge. Same with the north.
It's
And
also
there,
nice too if you notice that they've opened up little edges on the corners, so you're going to be more easily able to get to those corners already in tank destroyers
oh, it looks like the
from the top right and left.
where the North City was. You know that little U-shaped thing that people used to go on, and they would shoot down off of it to shoot the south. It looks like there is a ramp going down on that now, so it looks like it can be a lot more dynamic of play. I do know I personally right now hate hitting swamp or getting swamp because it just seems like it's a camp fest, and the south is just way too overpowered. So only time will tell. Another thing that came out was there was a few new premium tanks. Don't know yet what these are for because apparently it's called I think it was the Berlin Trio, although there's 4 of them. That being the T-3485 Rudy that you're seeing here. Let's see here. Grab the other one. An American Cromwell, a SU-152 with the 122 millimeter, the 400 alpha damage gun, and the IS-2 Soviet. So definitely kind of wondering what those are for, because I mean you got 2 tier 6s and 2 tier 7s, so
Seems like the IS-2 is actually going to be more realistic and historical version of the IS line.
yeah, definitely. I don't really know too much about the IS-2. Maybe I have to look more into it. I hope they're event tanks that we get to keep. I heard something along those lines, but it's probably going to be like extreme requirements to be able to go ahead and keep them, so kind of hesitant on that and kind of going to remain skeptical for now. Another one that did come out along with that controlled leak from Wargaming to uh, many of its YouTube presenters, is the best way to put it, is there is going to be a new Tier 6 Soviet heavy tank that's very similar. It's kind of like a cross between a old KV-1S and a IS. So it looks more like the IS body, and it's got a 100 millimeter gun. It looks pretty good. I think it might be very good in the tier 6 skirmishes. Maybe you have
Is
to
that
pick
the
that up.
object?
Yes, that's right. It's the object. I don't remember the actual number.
244, I think.
Hmm?
Was it 244 for the that one?
I think so. But it definitely looks
That should
interesting.
be a lot of fun.
Another tier 7 premium coming out. This one I believe is supposed to be in the gift shop. Is the... Oh, and I just lost my sheet with the name on it. It's supposed to basically be a tier 7 premium tank that's very similar in playstyle to the Ramatau Borsuk. Let's see here. Hopefully it'll be a lot more organized for our second second go on this.
That's the Waffentrager, right?
Yes, the Waffentrager.
It's the
Is there?
Krupp one.
Yes, Waffentrager Crew. That is correct. It looks pretty interesting. It looks slow like the Roomba. I'm
Looks like
interested.
another glass cannon, if you ask me.
Yep, I'm interested to see the damage on the gun because I will want to see a little bit more power to the gun rather than it be like an E25 with a low damage, high rapid firing gun. Because it does work on the E25 because you're repositioning so much, but this one really can't do that.
Yeah, it's definitely got a higher silhouette and larger profile, but you know what? It might have the speed and maneuverability to make up for it.
I think from the videos I saw, it didn't really have too much. It was quite slow, but only time will tell what it is like when it actually comes out. But it does look very pretty in HD there. Let's see here. And then the biggest news of the week is there's going to be a new French tier line. You're going to have the new Tier 2 DD1, Tier 3 DD2, Tier 4 B1, and Tier 5 BDRG1B. Actually, scratch that. I completely read the wrong line. My
Yeah, I was
error.
thinking.
And I'm going to get a big complaints in the comments below. You read that wrong. It's the Hotchkiss H35, the Suma S35, the SARL 42, and the Renault G1. And that's going to go ahead and tie back into the ARL 44, which it does seem kind of weird that the new tanks go ahead and tie back into the heavy tank line, and then you have the new Tier 9 and Tier 10 sprouting away from the medium tank line. or technically where it was still light, but it's going to go off the 1390 to the AMX 30 prototype and the AMX 30B.
See, one thing I like about these lines is they kept their traditional goofy French tank designs, so they look over the top ridiculous at times, especially with the S ARL.
Yeah, and the Renault G1, I think that just looks basically like a very small BDR, if I remember correctly as well.
Yes. These should be entertaining game like tanks to play. I mean, you might not win a lot, but you're gonna hit them hard, and they're gonna be pretty entertaining.
Let's see here. And the first one we had was the AMX 30 prototype. This one looks like 1650 hit points, not bad for tier 9. It has a power to weight of 22.15 with a horsepower of 720, a weight of 32 tons. Maximum speed of 65, so it looks like a definite Leopard prototype, which does make sense from the history perspective that they were developed about the same time with the same idea of mind of just being as fast and as mobile with the biggest gun as they could. Hull traverse of 36, a little bit slow. You're definitely going to feel it. I mean, you already feel it in like the CDC as it has a 40-degree turret traverse, so interesting to see it there. Turret traverse of 46 degrees. Now these are subject to change, but that's a really quick turret traverse. Radial range of almost 800 meters, sitting at 782. View range of 390 normal. Trash armor of 80 at the front, 30 at the rear, or 30 at the sides, and unknown at the rear. It's probably going to be about 20. The guns where it gets good is 105 millimeter with 390 alpha damage and 260 pen. Rate of fire being 6.5. Leak for now. We'll see how that goes. 2500 DPM. Reloads about 9 seconds. Accuracy is 0.31. That's extremely good, especially for a tier 9. I think the Leopard prototype gets like a 0.34.
Yeah, it's about that. Like, one thing that if it is going to increase the armor, which isn't going to be amazing anyway, let's face it, it's not why you would play a Leopard tank. It just seems like it's going to be adding a buff to the wrong part of the tank. It is going to be pretty fast, 720.
Yeah, that would actually kind of feel like a nerf because I mean the armor is going to be trash anyways. If they add more armor to it, they're going to increase the weight, and so it would just nerf the mobility.
That could actually turn out.
It would be interesting. I do know that here it is. The dispersion on the 10.5 centimeter of the Leopard prototype is 0.36. So that's sitting at tier 9. This is an extremely accurate gun. I'm extremely surprised. Aim time of 2.2.
Peekaboo.
Very much so. Which, speaking of that, I wonder what the camo is going to be on this thing. Because I know the Leopard, even at medium ranges, can pull out into a bush, snap a shot, and pull back before you even spot them. And be behind cover safely.
And this thing's still going to have a fairly strong gun input too, so it might be able to poke out real quick or use its 8 degrees to go over a hill. And just pop you right when you need to.
That's true. A nice 8-degree gun depression, 20-degree elevation. Let me go ahead and pull up the prototypes. Let's see, there we are. It does look like a very bouncy mantlet. This might be like a very fast cross between a... It would be a 3-way cross between a Leopard, a Centurion, and a STB-1. That would be a very interesting kind of mesh there. It's definitely going to have its own unique playstyle. But it does have, at least the Leopard prototype, or yeah, the AMX-30 prototype does have a pretty big cupola, so that could end up hurting the ridgeline of this tank.
Yeah, but let's face it, they're going to be doing this pretty fast and busting around corners and using that traverse. So
Definitely.
hopefully it won't be a big weak spot.
And that's when we come up to the AMX 30B, which looks like it does have the same kind of cupola there. I will have to say this tank looks extremely, extremely good. I mean, this is the kind of detail that I expect on like their Clan Wars tanks. You know, this one that only certain people get. This is a very nice looking tank.
It is pretty sexy.
Let's see here. It looks like you're getting an upgrade to 1900 hit points, which is pretty standard for tier 10 medium tanks. You're keeping the same engine power of 720. Looks like you're getting upgraded to 36 tons, so you're actually getting a worse power to weight ratio of 20. Maximum speed does stay the same at 65. Hull Traverse gets a pretty meaty upgrade though, from 36 to 48. Wow, that's going to be nimble on its feet. Turret Traverse does go down a little bit from 46 to just shy under 40. View range goes to 400 and radio range stays the same at 782. Armor looks like is the exact same. Um, the gun, let's see here. Looks like it actually gets a rate of fire nerf being 6.1 versus the 6.5 of the tier 9. So I'm thinking my I think my tier 9 stats are a little bit outdated there. Reload of 9.7, accuracy of 0.32. That's actually worse than the Leopard, which surprises me because of how this tank was produced. The gun was actually supposed to be a lot more accurate than the Leopard. So we'll see if that stays in place. I really don't think it is. It's going to have the same 8-degree gun depression. It's going to have about a 2.3 aiming time. Probably going to go down to about a 1.9 or a 2 flat. And it's probably going to keep about a 250 or 2,500 DPM. Go ahead and pull up the armor profile on this one.
This is really a line. So if you want to play a medium tank that has a more traditional gun instead of an autoloader for the French line, it's a pretty interesting idea.
I definitely know I'll be grinding it because I already do have the bat chat, so I can easily grind my 1390 again. Um, I actually should start grinding that now, so when it does come out, I do have the experience already there. But it does look like a very sexy tank. I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot. Especially the tier 9. The tier 9 really looks like a really solid all-around tank. Let me see here. Let's see if we missed anything else. I think we did miss one more thing. While the For the Record did close and he did go ahead and move on, he did pass off the torch in a sense to RitaGamer, who now has a new blog. I'll go ahead and put the description of that down below and a link to it. I'll link to that in the description down below. Don't worry, we'll be better next week when we've had a little bit more practice. um, so if you do want to go ahead and get your daily dose of news about World of Tanks, a lot more in-depth than what we're doing, a lot of extra things that we don't go ahead and cover because they're not quite yet confirmed. This does have a lot of, general things that from Wargaming leaks that aren't, controlled. They're more of just, well, this might happen, this is an idea that we might do, type of things like that. Definitely go ahead and give her a look. And that's about it for us this week. Was there anything else that you seen, Radley, or anything else that you want to go ahead and go over?
I just like to thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on. We'll have to keep this a weekly thing. See if we can get some get some guests on with us. We'll have to play around with the format a little bit. See what we can do. If you guys have any comments or suggestions or questions or things you want us to talk about on next week's episode, go ahead and put that in the description down below. We greatly appreciate any feedback and any support you guys give us. And this has been Total War, and
SP Radley.
with the on the engine deck. And just a side thing before we let you go, we call it on the engine deck because tankers back in the day, during the night, when they go ahead and got tired, they stopped the tank, and they wanted to take a rest. They don't want to sleep in their seats in the tank, and they would just go ahead and get on the engine deck, and it would still be warm. They would sleep on it there rather than sleeping on the ground. So this is kind of like around the campfire thing, only for tankers. The more you know. Anyway.
It's a whole new world.
All right, well, we'll see y'all next week, and look forward to it. Until then, have a wonderful week.